but it summarizes the effect of drug and alcohol abuse.
It may seem common for young people to experiment with different substances, like vaping, weed, tobacco, Molly, and alcohol. Some may even consider hard drugs such as cocaine, meth, or opioids like heroin. Regardless of the substance, if it's not prescribed by a doctor and taken as prescribed, experimenting with substances can have negative effects. Meet Jeremiah. Jeremiah hangs out with his friends on the weekends. They drink alcohol and occasionally smoke marijuana to relax and get away from the stresses of life and school. One time at a party, Jeremiah smoked something a girl handed to him, not knowing what it was. Later, he found out that it was K2, a synthetic type of weed. His friends told him that he was hilarious and started acting crazy, and that they couldn't wait to party with him again. Jeremiah was concerned because he has no memory of what happened. He wants to be with his friends and have a good time, but he hated not remembering and doesn't want to take another substance like that again. He also feels new pressure to be the life of the party and act a certain way. What happened to Jeremiah is all too common. You start out taking one substance and end up taking something else. A danger in using any substance that isn't prescribed to you is not knowing exactly what it is you're taking and how it will impact you. Unfortunately, young people are being exposed to substances that can have dangerous physical and mental health consequences. As a good rule of thumb, if a drug isn't prescribed to you, you shouldn't take it. Pretty quickly, what feels like casual or experimental substance use can turn into a substance use problem, which has long-lasting and negative consequences. Before you decide to use a substance, know the risks and potential consequences, or reach out to a counselor to talk about it.
So there you have it. It's not just a problem for the adults. We have seen more and more teens and young kids getting affected by drug and alcohol abuse. So let us see this 1 hour as a time for us to reflect and find solutions to this very serious problem. So our first question of the day, and remember it is fastest, correct, fingers first. Which of these is not a type of hard drug? So we have opioid, we have tobacco, we have heroin, we have cocaine. They are all drugs, but one of them is not a hard drug. The other three are hard drugs. So go to the chat comment section, put quiz, write your answer, either A, B, C, or D, then put your phone number so that we will be able to contact you for your gifts if you win. Remember, it is fastest, correct, finger first. And for those of us who are just coming for the first time, we're going to have more of this quiz during the other sessions. Notable days in January. Of course, it was a new year. Welcome all of you to the new year. This is our first meeting of the year. And we hope that subsequent meetings will be seeing more and more topics and more attendance. We had the cervical cancer awareness month for the whole month of January. It's a big issue, and we have seen a lot of awareness about it, trying to get women to get themselves tested early, which we have been seeing some hospitals do it for free, especially the government hospital. It also World Leprosy Day. That's coming up in a few days. And we just want to keep reminding people, build their awareness, and not see it as a death sentence. So any way you can help, if there's any organization you know you can support, please do so. For the month of February, we have World Cancer Day. Cancer is a very big issue in the world today, and we have seen it increase as one of the main causes of death in all individuals, from children all the way to adults. So it's good for us to build awareness there. Know about all the screening, pre-screening that you can do, so that you can detect all these things early, and health habits, diets, and stuff that you can do. So these are things that we need to bring to awareness for the month of February. So any literature you can read, any forum you can join to get information, please do. For those of us who are new here, and for those who are fairly new and do not really know much about our organization, we are Leadership in Health, Safety and Environment International Forum. We are not just, although we were born in Nigeria, we are not just limited to the four walls of Nigeria. We have members all over the world, and we hope to continue to grow our association to be international. So our vision is to ensure that leadership, health, safety, and environmental activities are indispensable. So we don't want a situation whereby people feel it's something they can do without, or it's optional. We want it to be in the very foundation of everything we do in both work and play. So our mission is to involve people as much as possible. They have to be enthusiastic, selfless, and of course, professionals and non-professionals alike. And we do a lot of research to ensure that our goals for our HSE goals are met. So our main objective is to ensure that we connect with as many people, which is why we have this monthly forum where we reach out to people, we give all these beautiful topics, we hear from you, you hear from us, we bring in panelists, so that we'll be able to leave a positive legacy in Nigeria and the world at large. The point is that health, safety, and environment is important in our society. I want to keep pushing that. And we do that through our school programs. That's why you see that our slogan is Leading for Legacy, because we believe that whatever we are doing has to start from the grassroots. So without further ado, we'll go straight to our topic for the day, and that's the social impact of drug and alcohol abuse. We have our guest speaker in the house, Dr. Olajumoke Olanipekun, Mr. Rotimi Agboge, and Comrade Blessing Akinlosoto, who will be doing justice to this topic. It's an open discussion. There's a lot of room for questions and answers. So please, if you have any questions, you can signify by raising up your hand, and you can also put a comment in the chat section, and we'll get to it. So enjoy, and please, you can still reach out to your friends that are not here yet, that they should get signed in, because this is a very important topic that will benefit us all. So without further ado, Mr. Christian Ike, are you ready for us?
Yeah, good evening, guests, panelists. My dear friends, let me welcome us to the main event of the day, social impact of drug and alcohol abuse in our society, community. We are very glad that you could make it. Let me introduce our guests, our panelists. Let me start with Mr. Rotimi Aroge. He's here already. Mr. Rotimi is a substance use prevention professional, a serial entrepreneur with hands-on experience in various fields, which include, but not limited to, business development, transport, logistics, supply chain, media and entertainment, agriculture, automobile, tourism, education management, the list continues. His experience across these various fields of endeavor is approximately 22 years combined. He's also a professional member of the following organization: Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management in Nigeria, Teachers Association Council of Nigeria, an international supply of substance use professionals. He's a founder and managing director of Tri-Modal Logistics Limited, also a co-founder of Cheruland Schools, chairman, CEO of Global Foremost Impressions Limited, an emerging business development company based in Lagos. He's a speaker, a youth coach, a team builder, and a lover of innovation and creativity. No doubt we want to welcome Mr. Rotimi Aroge to this very important discussion. Next on our guest list is Dr. Olajumoke Olanipekun. Dr. Olajumoke Olanipekun is a professional counselor, educational psychologist, and a lecturer a coach in the teens and youth ministry for over 20 years with certifications in guidance and counseling, educational psychology, and substance use prevention. She has a wealth of experience working and reaching out to teenagers and youths, as well as addressing the psychosocial problems related to this age group. She has affiliations with NGOs, educational and religious organizations, and has worked on different projects as a consultant. Her professional affiliations include Association of Professional Counselors in Nigeria, Counseling Association of Nigeria, Nigeria Society of Educational Psychologists, International Society of Substance Use Prevention and Treatment Professionals, national and global chapters. She's an author, speaker, and a life coach with speaking engagements in conferences, seminars, NGOs, schools, and even faith-based organizations, both within these shores and outside the shores of this our country. And our last guest, or the third guest, is our amiable comrade Blessing A. Akinlosotu. Blessing Adebowale Akinlosotu is the president of Nigerian Youth Congress and Nigerian Speedball Federation. He's a consultant, researcher, and business development expert for many years. He bagged his degree in accounting from the Adekunle Ajasin University in Akumba, Akoko, Ondo State. He has a master's degree from the University of Benin, Benin City. He's also the CEO and managing director of Hekins and Associates Limited, managing partner of Toninova Global Solutions Limited, financial consultant to ECDCC Technologies Limited, sports and business consultant to Nigerian Sports Development Fund Incorporated. He's also an educational consultant to the Near East University, Northern Cyprus, University of Kyrenia, Turkey, and even the American Heritage University of Southern California, USA. He has participated in so many programs across the country and even abroad. So these are our guest lists. They will be the ones that will be involved in our discussion this evening. So without further ado, we want to start off with our questions. First, let me welcome you all. Let me welcome you all. You can see their amiable faces. Let me welcome you, Dr. Olajumoke, Mr. Aroge, and Mr. Akil. Welcome to this beautiful program. Okay. So let me ask the first question. The first question is directed to Dr. Olajumoke Olanipe. Now, can you please explain what we mean by substance abuse? That is drug abuse and alcohol abuse. Can you explain this so that our viewers will better understand what this involves?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Substance abuse is the use of psychoactive substances for recreational purposes or for pleasure, or in ways other than recommended or intended. When we're talking about substance here, I'm talking about the use of prescription drugs, illicit or illegal drugs, over-the-counter pills, using them in ways that are not intended or recommended, in legal ways. Then under that, we also have alcohol, and we have a use of chemical and solvents, such as gasoline and glue and some other things that people are taking. So it's basically the use of drugs of any kind. Either the drug is prescription drugs, either it's over-the-counter pills, or it's illegal drugs, and alcohol in ways that are not intended or recommended.
Oh, beautiful. I had the use of gasoline too. So the substance abuse covers so many things. Thank you very much, Dr. Olanipe. Now, my second question will be directed to Mr. Aroge and Mr. Akinlosotu. Now, according to the WHO, Nigeria ranks second on the list of African countries for heavy episodic drinking. Now, for our audience, heavy episodic drinking is defined as the proportion of adults who have had at least 60 grams or more of pure alcohol. That is about 6 standard alcoholic drinks on at least one occasion in the last 30 days. Now, would we say that this survey is saying that Nigeria drink a lot? Or do we abuse alcohol so much that we are ranked number 2 in a continent of about 54 countries? Or would you say that the abuse of drugs and alcohol has gone out of control in Nigeria? Let's start with you, Mr. Roge.
Okay, thank you for that question. According to available United Nations data, 14.6 million Nigerians are involved in drug abuse. Then if we go into Nigeria proper, we can actually pick South-South as one of the region where this drinking is prevalent. The 5 states of the South-South, I mean Delta, Edo, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, put together. But then annually, we know that 74.4 million, some 4.4 billion naira worth of drinks are consumed by this region. The whole of Nigeria put together, we have 208 billion naira worth of drink consumed. That is as at 2016 statistics from the National Statistics Bureau. Okay, if we now look at all of these put together, it's gradually supporting that United Nations statistics. But if I may go through trend analysis, you will look at the trend of drinking in the past when our fathers used to use drinks, alcoholic drinks, to do ceremonies, to do parties, naming ceremony, freedom, housewarming, and everything. You discover that these drinks were being used for all of these ceremonies, but the men were made to drink responsibly. In recent time, women, youths, they have started drinking, and then the pattern is not the pattern that it used to be. It's not responsibly. They now drink with the aim of intoxication. You hear people use slangs like, "Oh, my eye done dirty. I want to enter bottle. Are you a fan, Chelsea fan?" So by the time they go into drinking in this particular order and manner, you discover that the statistics could actually get as high as that. So in a nutshell, my own understanding of that statistics shows that Nigeria is deserving of that number 2 on the continent. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Roge. Mr. Blessing, I don't know whether you have something contrary or you're also in support of Mr. Roge.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers and audience, and all the special guests here present. Sincerely speaking, he spoke very well. The honest truth is that we cannot fault of WHO, because that is a statutory office that can be able to give us data as regards health about abuse, drug abuse, and whatsoever. The fact remains that Nigeria is number 2. That put to question the fact that we are not really doing well. It's not as if we cannot leave number 2 tomorrow, and maybe possibly we can even go as far as number 50. But the honest truth is that Nigeria is number 2 is not an issue here. The issue is the fact of how can we now control it? How can we look at the aspects that made us to rose to number 2 in drug abuse? So those are the critical solutions we're supposed to be discussing today. And we agree with me that critical parts of the populations that are affected by this drug abuse are majorly young people. These are the youth. And as we go down, tell us that the future of this country is blinking, is gradually eroding now very high. And that is the major reason why we must, at every critical level, try to see how we can be able to curb this mechanism, try to work out a kind of feasibility studies that can help us to reduce the disastrous calamity that is already coming. It's already with us. We see so many young people now are becoming mad because of tramadol, codeine, and all the rest. So it threatens the existence of the country, it threatens the futures of this country, because these are the young people that are supposed to be the future leader, that are supposed to be the drivers of the economy of the country. So I will agree partially with what the WHO said, but I will also disagree that Nigeria is not only the country where drug is being abused. The honest truth is that most times statistics are being quoted by sample. So possibly where they got their sample may be from Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, which is the headquarters of this country. So the abuse rate can be very high. You can't compare the drug abuse rate in Lagos to Ebonyi State. Likewise, you can't compare the drug abuse rate in Abuja to what you are going to be obtainable in Gombe. So, in honest, when statistics like that is being tracked, it creates a kind of awareness and culture that we should try as much as possible to see how we can be able to reduce. Possibly, if we cannot eradicate, let's reduce with the areas more the menace that is already before us. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Roge and Comrade Blessing. We appreciate that. So work has to be done. There's still more work to be done. Now, the third question goes this way. Some of these drugs are actually gotten from plants. Opium is from a dry latex obtained from the seed capsules of the opium poppy papaver somniferum, and cannabis from the plant Cannabis sativa, also known as marijuana. We go in this our climb. Now, the economic value of these plants sometimes unprecedented. The cash value is very high. Now, the question I want to ask: why would a farmer grow an alternative crop like cassava and all the likes, knowing that he will make less than what he will make if he plants, say, cannabis or marijuana? Let me start with you, Dr. Olanipeku.
All right. The cash value is very high, but number one, it is an illegal drug. It's not approved by the government of our nation and in some other nations too, because some countries recently has legalized the production of cannabis for medical reasons. But looking at it still, the health hazard outweighs the cash values. So when we're looking at the health hazards on people, like it leads to, it has carcinogenic properties, leads to different types of cancer, mental illnesses like anxiety, depression in people, leads to heart attack, high blood pressure, high blood temperature, even in people. So due to all these reasons, I think a wise farmer is not expected to plant this drug that we're talking about, cannabis, because it's dangerous to health. Then also it's hazardous to the ecosystem. It pollutes the air, then it leads to soil erosion. And so I think due to two reasons, a farmer should consider this and not plant cannabis. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Dr. Olanipeku. Our other panelists, you have something to add? Let me start with you, Comrade. Comrade, you have something to add? So why will I, as a farmer, want to grow cassava when cannabis would make me a millionaire? Comrade, can you hear me? Okay, Mr. Roge, you want to go first?
Okay, let me add to what the doctor has said. We know that you are basically asking what is that inviting, what is that attractive in that particular product or crop? Why a farmer will damn the consequence, the illegality. I want to farm it against all odds. You see, this there's the global market as at 2020 for cannabis is at $20 billion US, and by 2026, this particular budget is going to grow to $90 billion, and this money this amount you are seeing at the global level is going to trickle down to even the farmer in Ondo is going to have a share in it. And then the crop we are talking about now, it's let us look at the crop. Even if you leave the economic aspect, the crop is pest resistant. The crop is very rugged. The productivity is very high. It's good on our soil, especially in the Ondo space, where the government is even agitating for the legalization of cannabis. So many first world countries have already adopted it. Even in Africa, Malawi, South Africa, Zimbabwe, they are also pushing for legalization. But like the doctor has said, why will a patriotic farmer damn the consequences of what cannabis does to the society and want to earn from it? Because at the end of the day, whatever it earns, is still going to lose it, because it takes only one sweep. The government agency will just sweep into the farm, and then all he has saved, all he has earned, even his freedom, it will be lost. So that is my own view, and why I think they are so bent on farming it against all odds. Thank you.
That is, I think I got the point from Mr. Roge and Dr. Olani Peku. The most important thing is the farmer should look out for the health implications and the patriotic nature. You want to save lives first and not make money. Now, the next question is directed to the comrade. The question is, now, some countries have legalized cannabis, just like Mr. Roge rightly mentioned. The use, the consumption, apart from even farming it. Do you think that this will further increase the drug abuse menace? Say, for instance, Nigeria legalizes cannabis.
Thank you very much. The fact remains that some countries of the world have legalized this. Or the fact remains that if Nigeria legalized cannabis or drugs, I don't see a reason why we are not supposed to legalize drugs.
Sorry, comrades. We can't. Can you raise your voice a little?
Okay, thank you. I think what I was trying to say is that you are talking about legalizations of drugs. There is two different things here: drug and drug abuse. It is not only drug that people abuse. Even if you abuse water, if you drink too much of water, is water abuse. If you eat too much of food, is food abuse. Everything in this world is abuse, but legalizing drug is one aspect. Why the drug abuse is another aspect. If we legalize drug, I know Mr. Arubi has mentioned here that the governor of Ondo, I'm from Ondo State, and my governor has already championed the legalizations of these drug stores, because number one thing, we look at two or three things. We look at the economic benefit to the state, because the fact remains that all these drugs, farmers are still planting. Naturally, some of all the drugs are even natural weeds. They will just go planted by themselves, and you go there, you harvest and start selling. So why some are still going massive investment in this? They are still planting it, and is something that people are generating money from. The people that are trading in this drug, they are making a whole lot of money. Why government on the other side is looking at the fact that this is banned, as far as we ban it, people are still making money from it. Yes, they can be caught along the line and they can be prosecuted, but the fact remains that the percentage of people that are still making money on it are still high, more than the percentage of people that are being caught. So, two, the government is also looking at the aspect that this thing, if legalized and controlled, because there's another thing between if you legalize it and you put a proper control measure, people can take it, but the abuse aspect of it is what the government can now control. It's just like alcohol. People take alcohol today, but there is still a lot of control about people that take alcohol. Look at the aspect of cigarettes. People take cigarettes, but you see advertisement by the Ministry of Health that will tell you too much of cigar can lead to death, this and this. So there are ways by which we should be able to make economic benefit from this. Why government should put proper channel of control in place? Because even if we don't legalize it, they are still using it, they are still making use of it, and the economic benefit is not for the state. So why are we now making it illegal when so many countries are already advancing to trying to legalize it and make a whole lot of economic benefit into it? But the major aspect here is this: we should look at how we can be able to properly control it. We should look at how to enhance sensitization and advocacy. Try to let people know the effect. And possibly, most of all these drugs are also good for health-wise. I know some of the doctors can be able to get much on this, but the aspect of the abuse is what that really leads to the damage in the health. Some of the drugs, even there are some ailments that you will go to hospital, they will recommend some of all these things for you. They recommend cigarette for people, you understand, to be taken. And why are we now making it illegal when it has health economic benefits on its own side? But the abuse aspect is what government should now deploy all the necessary facilities to see how they can be able to control it, so that our people can be able to aware.
Wow, thank you very much, comrade. Now what we got from this point from the comrade is that legalizing it or not legalizing it, people will still abuse it. So why not legalize it and benefit from the economic value? For instance, cannabis is used for so many medical purposes. Even opium is used for so many medical purposes. He also made references to alcohol. Many people abuse alcohol so much. For alcohol, all the alcoholic drinks are legal. I think that is our take home. Now, we would like to ask our audience our quiz question. We've gotten to that point where we share our quiz question. The first question. Okay, let me share the screen for the first question. Now, the first question, you can see the screen says, in the following examples of drugs, one has been legalized in some countries: cannabis, opium, cocaine, mkpuru. In the following examples of drugs, one has been legalized in some countries: cannabis, opium, cocaine, mkpuru. Remember, fastest finger able to answer that question. Now let's move ahead. Let's go to our next question, which is the fifth. And let's talk about mkpuru. I know that our panelists would have heard the menace that drug is causing in some parts of this country, especially the eastern part. Now, mkpuru is also known as meth or methamphetamine hydrochloride. To our audience, mkpuru is a very dangerous drug, fast claiming the lives of a lot of young people, according to a report by the NDLEA in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Now, Dr. Olani Pegu, can you shed light on what kind of drug this is, the addiction, and the implication, if not curbed?
Okay, thank you. Mkpuru is very popular in the southeastern part of Nigeria. And the word mkpuru in Igbo means seed of water. That's the meaning of mkpuru. So the drug is made from different chemicals like paint thinners, batteries, and some other things are combined together, and it's made from amphetamine. So it is called meth, crystal meth, because it's a very highly addictive drug, which is very, very dangerous to health. In fact, it's a highly addictive drug that affects the central nervous system. And users get used to it right from the start, right from the onset, they get used to it. And it's one of the hardest drug addictions, which creates changes in the brain, and it impairs the functioning of the brain and perception of people. So it's very, very addictive to health. So let's talk about the implications of this mkpuru that we're talking about. It leads to madness. If you look at the social media, there are so many videos of young people in the southeastern part of Nigeria, Oka, Aba, and some other places like that. That after taking this substance, it leads to insanity, and you see people flogging them as if it will calm down the effects of the drug on them. Then it also leads to mood swing. Then death, it leads to death. It's fast killing people. It's sending so many people to their early grave. And it also leads to violence. Recently I read something of about two siblings that chased their mother with machete out of the house as a result of the intake of this Nkurumiri that we are talking about, then it makes people to commit murder. I also saw a write-up about a son that killed his father in order to take his 50,000 naira to buy Nkurumiri. Why? Because the drug is very, very addictive. It makes them feel high and always wanting more. So they can go to any extent or commit any crime to make sure that they get money, to buy this Nkurumiri, that they will continue to have the same feeling of, maybe forget your sorrow or something of that sort. So this drug is dangerous to health, is hazardous to health, is not good for human consumption. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olajumoke. So before I go to the next question, the question has been directed to Comrade Blessing, that in one of his comments, he said that cigarette is recommended by doctors. So one of our audience is asking to treat what exactly, please?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it is not that the statement was just an illustration. And if you agree with me, I have friends that are in UK, and I have an evidence towards this. I think there are some times ago we had discussion, and he told me that the major reason why he's taking a tobacco because it's a recommendation. So, and I know I have heard about 2 or 3 of such scenario, but I am not a doctor, but I want to have more clarification about it. Possibly I'll be able to offer solution. But this is on record. I have them, and I think I have about 2 or 3 of them in the instances. Possibly maybe because of the weather, or possibly maybe because of one ailment or the other, but I will make some findings.
Okay. I think the comrade has made it clear that it was a form of an illustration. It's referring like tobacco. We know some people who chew I don't know what they call it, they chew it. So it's a reference. If you want more information, you can still reach us on our channels. We'll help you to get across to the comrade once he gets the exact thing that the person he wants it to cure. I hope that has clarified Madam Maria's question, so that we can move ahead to our next question, which is the social implication of substance abuse in the family and community to our health, education, work, and employment. Now, let me start from Comrade. In terms of education, what is the social implication of substance abuse?
What is the question again, please?
Let me ask the social implication of substance abuse, that is drug and alcohol abuse, when it comes to education, in the educational sector.
Thank you very much. Not only in the educational sector, drug abuse is a crazy menace. The aspect of drug abuse can make you even lose your senses. The fact remains that you cannot be drug addicted and reason very properly. Yes, I also have some instances when we were in school. There are some people that if they don't take cigarettes, or if they don't take all these very high alcoholic race something, they will not be sharp in their brain. I have a couple of friends like that before they go into the exam hall, they must be able to get something done. Either they take a cigarette, they take a very hard wine, and all things like that. So then, like what they said, is something that really gives their brain this kind of a refreshment to catch up with whatever they have read in the past or whatever like that. But the fact remains that in the long run, you will realize that some of them are addicted to this type. Because if they don't now see those alcohol, they won't be able to function very well. So it really shows that they are influenced by that alcohol to do some certain things. Why the implication is that the system will be dysfunctional in the long run. And like I said earlier, there is nothing that you can abuse. Even if you abuse water, it's going to have implicative effects in your system. If you eat too much food, it's going to affect your body. There is nothing you can take too much in this world that it will not affect you. If you take too much of sugar content and all the rest, so it's not about drugging. And that is the reason that I emphasize that let's not just keep juxtaposing the fact that it is only drug that is being abused. Everything in this world is being abused. But how can we now control it? It's what that our focus and our attention should go. So the implication of drug abuse is that there is no, in education, is act its own effects. The person will not be able to function very well. The system, your brain will not be able to function very well, regardless of the fact that it can still aid you to do some certain things, but in the long run, you will still have to battle with the negative effects. Some of them even run mad. Some of them even started having this kind of mental cases in the long run. So in the social world also, it can make you to be comparable to your peers. You can't be on drug now. Maybe you want to attend a meeting where professionals are discussing. At every point in time, you'll be off shots. You'll be saying things that are not even in line with what you are there for, because something is really controlling your mind. Something is really working against your system. So in the social world, you'll be seen as somebody that is under the influence of alcohol. Even the perception alone, even if you are making sense, if you are saying things that are reasonable enough, people will look at it and say, "Oh my, that guy is already on drugs, just leave it." You understand? And your contribution may be very meaningful. You may be giving some kind of submission that is very highly recommended for that gathering, but because you are under the influence of alcohol, people will just discard you. They will just look at you that all what you are saying is basically maybe because you are already high. So drug abuse is not something that we should encourage in society. It's something that we should take very serious. Community should be able to sensitize the younger generation. People should be able to know the social.
Okay, comrade. Okay, I think we'll have to take the next point, which is how or what is the implication when it comes to work and employment. Work and employment. Mr. Aruge, you want to lend a voice to that? Substance abuse?
Yes, comrade has already spoken well and has spoken broadly. But if I come to workplace specifically, we find out that in the workplace, there is this effect that drugs and substance have on the productivity of the individual. In fact, it can lead to loss of job. When somebody is always taking permission to go out today or go out tomorrow, I'm not coming today, coming tomorrow, I had a hangover, and in the process, the person cannot give his best anymore. You know, it can lead to loss of job. It can lead to low productivity for the company. Company cannot be paying you to be taking drugs and then coming to work late or absenting yourself from work. You know, at the end of the day, some people get to the point of even trading on these substances within the organization, thereby endangering the organization, endangering yourself, endangering other staffs, because the drug law agency can just sweep on the company and then shut it down. If a company is shut down, it's not only the owner of the business that is going to be at the losing end. Every other person who is a breadwinner working there will be at the receiving end, and by extension, their siblings are going to suffer for it. Their children are going to suffer for it. There will not be school fees, there will not be house rent, there will not be a lot of stuff, no transport, and the rippling effect is so high when we look at how this affects the workplace or employment. Well, like he has said, it's not something to be condoned. It's something to be prevented at all costs. You know, it's something to be prevented with every measure possible, because that is exactly where it is really affecting a lot of people at this time. People can even go as far as committing murder, committing homicide, rape, and all that at place of work, like he said. You know, they will be under influence of alcohol and or other substances, and they will be misbehaving. Then later they come to their senses and begin to write apology letter and the others, which something they should have avoided in the first place. So I lend a voice to what the comrade has said, and we need to find a way to really prevent this. It's prevention that is critical now, because it's not a good thing to be condoned at the place of work. Thank you.
Top-notch comment. I love that, Mr. Aruge. Now, Dr. Olani Pekun, now we are coming to the home front. The implications when it comes to the family, drug or substance abuse when it comes to the family, and in extension to the community.
All right. Thank you, sir. Substance abuse has various implications on the family, irrespective of who the user is. Either the user is a child or a spouse or parents. Number one implication is that it makes the rest of the family members, it makes them secondhand smoke, to be exposed to it makes them to be exposed to secondhand smoke. You know, secondhand smoke exposure, that they are passive smokers. That's another way of saying, you know, talking about that point, as in it has various health hazards on members of the family inhaling the drugs when the user is taking it. Then, you know, it leads to cardiovascular problems for them, acute bronchitis and other things that are not even good for the health of the family members, because they perceive the smoke as the user is using it. Then number two, it leads to violence in the family. You know, the user can just snap at any time. It can lead to sexual abuse, the user abusing other members of the family. We've had cases whereby we have son abusing their mother under the, sexual abusing their mother under the influence of drugs. We've had fathers abusing their daughters under the influence of drugs. We've had mothers too abusing their sons under the influence of drugs. You know, it leads to sexual abuse, it leads to sexual assault, touching people inappropriately. You know, if they are in their right senses, they won't do that. But under the influence of drugs, because it affects, it changes their brain and their judgment, you know, it alters their perceptions. So they tend to do things that they wouldn't have done ordinarily. Then apart from that, it leads to financial problems in the family. If you have the children or one of the siblings or a child in the family taking drugs, that child can go into any extent to get money to take the drug, either by stealing the parents' money. I just mentioned a case when we talked about Nkuru Miri, that a boy killed the father so that he can have access to the father's money, 50,000 naira, to go and buy drugs. You can see husband stealing their wife's money, even their children's money, to go and buy drugs. And at the end of the day, it affects the children in that family, you know, because the drug user, if it happens to be a parent, will not be able to take care of the basic needs of the children, like we are talking about food, feeding them, because what matters to him or her at that point in time is just to take the drug, to get high, just to keep having that feeling that they want to have. So it affects clothing, basic needs. It affects feeding, food in the family, because the person will not even be thinking, user won't think about all those things. Then also it has secondary, you know, implications also. It affects the education of the children, because the children will be neglected, because what matters to the parent at that time is how to take drugs. So it actually go a long way to affect a lot of things in the family. Then apart from that, it leads to intimate partner violence, which we also call domestic violence. So many people are beating up their wife, their husband, you know, under the influence of drug, and some will strangulate them. It will even lead to death. So there are so many cases. It makes the family to live on the edge, and it strains relationship. Recently, somebody told me about a case that happened. There is a boy that has been under the influence of drug for some time. They took him for rehabilitation, and when he came back, it relapsed. And he took mopping sticks, started beating the mother and the siblings. So at the end of the day, they have to leave the house and go and seek refuge in another church member's house, because they don't know if their life is safe or not. Then apart from that, if we have people in the family, siblings, children, or parents taking drugs, you know, because of the history of substance abuse, it can also make is one of the risk factors for substance abuse. It can make one of the family members to also start taking drugs. So let's look at the community effect. It increased crime rate in the community, such as rape. There are people that ordinarily they will not rob. There are people that ordinarily they will not rape. But being that, after taking this drug, it stimulates them. So some of them, it's a stimulant. It gives them energy to do something that they will not do ordinarily. So it leads to crime in the community, like reckless driving. At times you hear of some people driving trucks, driving trailer, and at the end of the day, they killed other road users and things like that. So also we're talking about violence. It leads to sexual assault. It leads to recklessness. In fact, it leads to a lot of things. Then this issue of using needles to inject themselves. So the disease can easily be transmitted to other people, like hepatitis, HIV/AIDS. So these are the community implications. Then also we have the health implications. I've mentioned some of the health implications. What I mentioned is increase the rate of heart attacks, spread of sexually transmitted infections, risky sexual behaviors such as unprotected sex, the needle sharing. Then it leads to death, increased bodily temperature and blood pressure, liver disease, different type of cancer. We have esophageal cancer, we have liver cirrhosis, lung cancer, and all that. And it also leads to chronic bronchitis. So the list is endless. It has a lot of negative implications, so to say, on the family, community, and also on the health of people.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that. Thank you very much, Dr. Olanipeku. If we continue, we would spend so much time. So let me just go straight to the last question, which is the most important one. Is there any form of solution in sight to curb this menace or this abuse of substance? Now, that means how can the government, private institutions, NGOs help in this regard? I will want to start with you, Dr. Sorry, let me start with the comrade. Let me start with you.
Thank you very much. I think that question is now we are talking about solutions. Is there any form of solution in sight to curb the abuse of the substance? How can the government, private institution, curb it? I think the private institution and NGOs, they have more work to do than government. Because if we leave this work in the hands of government, definitely we may not have good results. Yes, in terms of regulation, rules, arrest, trying to set up policies that can be able to at least arrest the problem is there. That was what had led to the issue of establishing NDLA when the rise of drug abuse started everywhere. And now also there is a lot of task force everywhere, not only in the NDLA, we have the Ministry of Health. We have so many organizations that are not coming up to see how they can be able to curb this. But the honest truth is that we must look at the solution from the aspect of the grassroots, because abuse, drug abuse, precisely, it's not when I now become full blown drug addict. Mentality. Drug abuse is about exposure. What is your background? Most of all these guys that are into Yahoo, that are into all these tramadol, science students, and all the rest like that, you will see that it is their background that expose them to some of it. If you have time to interview them, to interact with them, to see how they encounter this problem, you will realize that it is basically because of our elementary knowledge. When somebody is attending a public school and there is no curricula that was able to try to expunge and explain more better about the aspect of the implications of this abuse, people are just busy reading English language, busy working mathematics, trying social study, and all the rest like that. There should be a kind of a systemic way where this as a topic should be instituted in our primary education, in our secondary education, so that when somebody is growing up from primary to secondary school, you will see that you are already learning about drugs. You are learning about the implications of drugs. You are learning about what these drugs can turn you to if you consume it too much. You are learning so many things. So by the time you are growing up, friends cannot just introduce you to a drug. Most of, like take for instance, my case, when I was very young at my primary school level, I was introduced to cigarettes, not because I don't want cigarettes, but a friend was just taking it. And I was, what is this? I now say, take it. Just you can just swim it and just blow it. And and that day I just took it and I just blow it. The next thing I started coming. So that it led to a system by which people started pouring water on me and I dress like that. So, but I tasted it before I now realized that this thing is not, maybe it's not good for my health. Assuming I took it that day, and I enjoyed it, I felt good, I felt nice, because I don't know what a cigarette is. I don't even know the implication. I don't know the challenges it's going to push to my health and everything, but because a friend influenced me to take. And if you observe most of all these guys also that are into drug addicts today, that are doing tramadol, codeine, some of them don't even know what they are taking. They don't even know the definition of codeine. Some of them don't even know the definition of tramadol. Some just realize that their friends are mixing it together, and when they mix it, they just take it and they become, they have stimulus like what doctor said, that they will start having this kind of a stamina, inspiration will start coming, and before you know, you want to come tomorrow, you want to come next tomorrow. So the solution must come from the grassroots. We must look at the aspect of going to the primary school, sensitize these people. That is why I said the private sector and the NGO has more work to do than government. The government can provide policies where this curriculum can be input into the primary education and secondary education, why there must be a much sensitization and advocacy, so that when you curb this menace from the grassroots, you are already eradicating drug abuse that will definitely go in the future. So we should direct our focus to more sensitization, more advocacy, and see how we can now be able to curb this menace from the younger generation, because no older generation can be introduced to a drug. A 30, 35-year-old, you cannot just start introducing him to tramadol. It's not possible. In the line of going to university and all the rest, you must have read something related to that, or must have listened to social media, see some people that have become mad because of codeine tramadol. So you can't influence such, but you can influence a 10-year-old boy. I saw one clip of recent, a guy that was influenced.
Comrade, I'm sorry, I will have to cut you because of our time. We often pride ourselves of not exceeding 1 hour, so that the other panelists can talk. You have just 2 points, two things I'm going to take out. The government must set up policies to help this from the grassroots, from the cradle. In LiHSEIF, we say from the cradle. We start teaching them from the cradle. And then private institutions should get involved more. They should take more responsibility. Dr. Olajumoke and Mr. Aroge, briefly, are you in support of this?
Yes, if I may add to what Comrade has said, as much as we are looking at the NGOs and the rest tackling this from the grassroots, I think government has a lot of role to play to make a solid foundation for the private sector or the NGOs to ride on. That is it. To buttress what I'm saying, the difference is that is where you see the difference between the countries like those Arabian countries where they give death penalties to drug peddlers compared to here, where it's not really taken seriously. Under the bridge, you show the island everywhere, they are wrapping weeds and all that. So who do you even report to? So it's become very difficult for even the NGO or anybody to even influence. Even the policeman, you see him having wrapping weeds and putting it in his shorts. So these are the things that government should do. They should break those supply chains where drugs are passing into the country or outside the country. They should break it. They have the power to do so. They should reduce the power of the media to advertise drugs as if it's nothing. They should do policies that will make the packaging of gins and the rest to become higher, not where you have it in 15 naira package and it's so accessible. Children are going to school, they are just picking it just like they pick biscuits on top of a train and they put it in their pocket. Even babies are almost getting involved in alcohol right now. So these are things and many more that, for the sake of time, I would let the doctor talk. These are things that are on my mind and many other things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Add that there should be prevention programs in schools, knowing fully that these young people, their brain is not fully developed until they're 25 years ago. I mean, 25 years of age. That part of the brain is called prefrontal cortex. It's for reasoning, part of the brain that is meant for reasoning and judgment is not fully developed until when they're 25 years of age. So I think basically for me, there should be evidence-based prevention program in school, such as life skill training. Life skill training is about teaching them skills on how they can cope with the demand of everyday life. Now, if we look at the risk factors for substance abuse, for these young people, we'll be looking at stress. They are looking at it as a way of reward for what they are going through, or through stress, or through curiosity, or through peer pressure. But by the time they are being taught skills on how to be, problem-solving skills, how to be assertive, to say no, and you mean it, you are firm about your decisions, how to negotiate, how to communicate, how to think critically, how to be creative in their thinking, and how to manage stress. It will help them, to prevent things that we're talking about. In that, because we know that at that age, friendship is very, very important to them. They do some things not because they actually want to do, but because they want their friends to continue to be their friends. So they tend to do what they don't want to do, just to satisfy their friends. So there should be life skill trainings in school. Then government, private sectors should invest in a range of programs that provide early targeted support, including the supporting family program. There's something that is called family therapy, making the family to be aware of all these drug issues in the society. Then also, I think basically that government should ban the advertisements of tobacco and alcohol, sales in the country. There should be increased taxation, because you see them, they'll still come to the media, because ordinarily some of these young people, they are not exposed to it. They only see these things on media and social media. So out of sight is out of mind. And they're saying that whatever you starve dies, and whatever you starve dies, and whatever you feed grows. So it's a way of starving it by increasing the price of tobacco, drug, alcohol, whatever it is, and increase taxation. And a final note, government should enforce laws. We have laws, but the laws are not being enforced. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I know that the time allotted for this is quite short, but our viewers can always reach our guests, our panelists, through the LiHSEIF program. Now, I want to thank all of us, our esteemed guests. Thank you very much. Starting from Comrade Blessing, Akilo Sotu, Mr. Rotimi Aroge, and Dr. Olajumoke Olanipeku. I know you are very busy, but you still find out time to attend this program. Thank you very much. I know there will be questions. We have time for questions, but let's attend to some of the other bits of this program. I also want to apologize to our viewers for taking more than the time that we usually use. But this is a social problem that affects all of us. Now, I also want to say this. Some of the comments that I mentioned, some of the things you might have heard, are the panelists' professional views, and should not be taken in such a way that we say it's from LiHSEIF. These are professionals in their various fields, and we want to respect that. We have our last quiz that we would like to share. Second quiz for our viewers. Now, the second quiz is, what is Nkoromiri? A, heroin, opium, meth. D, a new kind of marijuana. What is Nkoromiri? A, heroin, opium, meth, and a new kind of marijuana. Fastest finger, as usual. Thank you very much. Viewers, will ask that you stick around for the viewers, for the audience, to ask the panelists some questions. Back to you, Madam Deborah.
So I believe we've all gotten enough information about drug and alcohol usage, and hopefully we've been able to give you new information, or the information you already had, you've been able to improve on it. So without wasting too much time, we've already exceeded our 1 hour mark. Let's take any questions that we have quickly. You can just put your hands up. While we are doing that, our panelists, our committee behind the scene, let's start working on the winners for the quiz competition so that we can have that published in a second. Do we have any questions in the house? Any hands up? Anything in the chat section? Okay, no questions so far. So we can easily move to the looking at the people who won last month. We have, as usual, our always ready, constantly winning, pioneering next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Feyikemi Olufisoye, who doesn't dull. I trust that in the future we'll be hearing her name. So just know that this is where she started from when she becomes a superstar in whichever field she chooses to be in, but whatever the case, we know that she's going to be a HSC expert. We also have Ms. Funke Salau. So those are our 2 winners for last month. We're hoping that we'll have more than 2 winners this month. Then we'll move quickly to our HSC campaign. Remember, in the last meeting that we had in December, we talked about bullying, and we've made mention to the issue that happened at the Dowen College, and you saw that was a reason why we need to start speaking on it, so that we can have a conversation with our children, we can have a conversation with ourselves, so that we'll find out if we're being bullied at work, if we're being bullied at school, or being bullied at home, or if we ourselves are actually bullies. So those are salient questions that we brought up, and we are campaigning this for the rest of the quarter. We say no to bullying. We ask people to speak out. We ask you to stand up, and we also ask you to search yourself, so that in case you are being a bully, this is the time for you to self-reflect and stop. Mr. President, the floor is yours. Kindly leave us a closing remark while we wait for the winners of the month's quiz to be collated. Mr. President, can you hear us? Okay, while we're waiting for the president to get online, please, for those of us who are joining us for the first time, you can contact us on all social media platforms. When I say all, I mean all. If there's anyone you can't find us, please let us know. We'll happily get ourselves on it, so that we can ensure that we get all over the world. So that's our website. You can get all the information there. We have our phone numbers there. Please call us. We're available on call and WhatsApp. Then our email is there as well, support@leadershipinhsc.org, or collegiate@leadershipinhsc.org. And the social media platforms are there: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. We are there. So we look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to you sharing the message worldwide on behalf of LiHSEIF. So now we have our winners. Are the winners ready? Okay.
For the first quiz, that is the one on safety moment, we have Mr. Rotimi Aruge. He was the one that answered that question. Who incidentally is one of our panelists. He answered the question. And the next winner, the one on cannabis, Mrs. Rachel Lufisoye, was the fastest winner. So, and the last question, which is what is Mkpurumiri, is Mrs. Rachel Lufisoye. I think it's the same person, if I'm not mistaken. It's the same person. So the same person won both quiz. So those are.
We have one question from the 60 moment that was not captured there.
That's the first one. That's question 1. That's
okay.
The question on 60 moment that was answered by Mr. Rotimi.
Okay. All right. Okay, so congratulations to all the winners. Please, for those of us who are in the house, remember it's an open invitation for all. The next month you have another opportunity to win one of our very, very juicy prizes. So use the opportunity to thank you all for coming. It has been an indicative 1 hour, 15 minutes. And we look forward to seeing you all next month. So let's put on our picture, camera so that we can see our beautiful faces and take a picture.
Okay, before that, let me speak on behalf of the president. We so much appreciate you all for all the time you spent. Dr. Olajumoke, a comrade, we so much appreciate you, Mr. Aroge, and all our panelists that are making our time to make this presentation possible. Thank you, Anchor, the VP admin, Mr. Christian Ike. One thing we need to let you know quite sure that this is the little contribution we can make as an organization towards the community. The bigger job rests within us. So let us do all we can to support LiHSEIF and trying as much as possible to sanitize the people within our community to stay away from drug abuse. We are open to partnerships and endorsement as this is ongoing. And our LiHSEIF Safety School Club project is also ongoing that we'll be using to reach out to HSC from the cradle. We look forward to seeing you next month in this same webinar. Thank you all for coming and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. VP. Can we have our cameras up so that we can take a picture? Mrs. Olufisoye, Team Love, Modupe Bejide, Maria Ilubuchi, Ikatalo Martin, Oyafunke, Dennis. If you can put on your camera so we can quickly take a picture. Mr. Christian, can you take the picture?
I've done that. Just a minute, still hold on. Let's take, some are just putting on the videos, their videos. So let me take another one. Okay. Taking another one again. Done.
All right. Thank you all very much for being here. We look forward to seeing you again next month. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.